Bishops around the world will join Francis in the consecration of Ukraine to Russia. Pope will consecrate humanity, especially Russia and Ukraine, to Mary, the text says. So there's been a couple revisions of this. Not sure where it's actually going to go. And the way that this works in the traditional Catholic world, for those that are not familiar, and I'm speaking from my years in trad Catholic world back in my 20s, the way this works is that basically this is like an ongoing soap opera. It's like an ongoing fairy tale role-playing thing that the Catholics participate in, and it's always ongoing. There's always, every time there's a failed consecration, there's an out by which they can say, oh, well, it doesn't count because he didn't do this, this. Okay. First question here, guys, come on. Okay. Why would the Pope not follow what Mary says to do? Okay. So the Roman Catholic world pretty much accepts this as a real so-called miracle, a real apparition. And if you believe the religion, okay, we're not talking about whether the popes are liberal or conservative, but we'll set that aside. I mean, if you believe this religion, why would any pope not just do the consecration? I mean, if every normie trad and every normie Catholic is perceptive enough to know what the requirement is, then why didn't the Pope just do it? Now, if he did it, then why is the whole Catholic world still, well, one day the Holy Father is going to consecrate Russia, and then she'll be converted to law, right? Is it this hard? I mean, do Catholics think that like this, that the devil is like standing there waiting for the Pope to do it, and he will immediately strike the Pope dead for? I mean, it's all silly. It's ridiculous. And I can't understand why people can't see that this is ridiculous. And the reason I started seeing it as ridiculous when I was a trad Catholic was every time there was a new news story every year or two about this thing, when it didn't happen or it didn't go the perfect, say the magic words way, they would just revise the story. Oh, well, he didn't actually do it like this, and so it's still waiting to happen. Then we'll know. But this is so ridiculous. Why would he not just do it? Does he believe the religion? Wouldn't he just do it? And if he did just do it, then why do we need... Where's my chart of all of the failed? So here is trad chart number 1. And this is going to explain, this is the Cope chart they've already drawn up. Cope for the Pope chart, you see, oh, it doesn't count because none of these popes knew what it was or how to do it right. They all screwed it up. 1, 2, 3, 4 now. Can't get it right. Because... And by the way, there's more to this chart. This is just like a abridged chart. Oh, he didn't have all the bishops. Oh, it wasn't a consecration. Oh, it didn't include the word Russia. Oh, it actually wasn't to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So you see that this is clearly a cope, and this is what the trads do when the so-called consecrations don't do anything. So Russia has not converted to the Immaculate Heart of Mary and returned to Rome. And since that never happened, oh, well, you see, none of these were actual real consecrations. But the real root of this is that the Roman Catholic circles have adopted the fetishization of Marian spirituality, apparitions, mystical experiences because of the loss of the doctrine of the Holy Spirit. I know that may sound mean, but that's what I think is the cause of this. So because Rome adopted heterodox Trinitarian theology, what St. Photius calls a dyad that subordinates the Holy Spirit, what St. Gregory Palamas repeats as a dyad heresy in the Apodictic Treatise on the Holy Spirit, which subordinates the Holy Spirit, the result would be the replacement for the role of the Holy Spirit in the religion with fantasies, vision, dreams, apparitions, weird manifestations of saints claiming to get spiritual orgasms. I'm not joking. Mary, Jesus appear, and the host floats around and talks. Jesus carves his name in the chest of saint. Jesus is my boyfriend. This stuff, I'm not joking. That's all real post-Tridentine Roman Catholic saints stories. This is all a replacement for the loss of the Holy Spirit in terms of the life of the church and the sacraments and the grace and the balance of the theology and the doctrine of uncreated grace and theosis. Because only the Orthodox Church has the correct doctrine of those things. Rome does not. I'm aware that they use the word theosis. I'm aware that they use different terms. Okay? That doesn't mean that the doctrine is the same. Mormons use the same terms. Mormons believe in divinization. Mormons believe in Father, Son, and Spirit. They don't mean the same things, even though it's the same words. Roman Catholics, do you hear me? Can you grasp this point? Using the same words doesn't mean they mean the same thing.
Well, we believe in theosis. We believe in deification. We use the same words.
Again, doesn't matter. Same words doesn't mean it's the same doctrine. So, having lost the immediate governing presence of the Holy Spirit, because now the Holy Spirit really only comes to you via the communion with the Pope. So really the Pope is the sender of the Holy Spirit now after Unum Sanctum, right? Because Unum Sanctum says that the Holy Spirit is deprived of anyone, even if they die for the name of Christ, outside of communion with a Roman bishop. Now, obviously, yes, Vatican II liberalized that, and now you can be an Anglican martyr according to Paul VI, right? You can even die in the other religions, and the other religions become means of salvation. I know it's still through Jesus, but he's using the other religion. So you don't even have to be in the right religion anymore. And these are all just the outworkings of the presuppositions of natural theology, natural philosophy, which ultimately are perennialism, and perennialism is really what Vatican II is about. That's why Francis's encyclicals now include prayers for Unitarians. Oh, you don't believe in the Trinity? Pray this prayer with us. Oh, you're an evangelical and you don't accept sacraments and the real presence? Pray this prayer with us. What? The canons of the Sixth Council and the Seventh Council forbid you to pray with heretics or in their services. Now, so Fatima, of course, as everybody I assume knew. I'm not going to go into the history of Fatima because I think everybody knows the story of Fatima. Now, I would invite you, if you are not aware, to look up the history of fake news, right? Fake news didn't begin with Donald Trump. As a student of psychological warfare and its use in wartime, I can tell you that all warfare has used fake news. You can read Sun Tzu. You can read Machiavelli's Art of War, which is modeled on Sun Tzu's Art of War. And in book 6, he talks about fake news. Fake news, right? You can use all forms of fake news for psychological warfare for all kinds of reasons, including the starting of a war. And so, why is Fatima relevant to this? Well, and let's look at, for example, a history of the most famous incident of fake news, or one of the first famous. Bat people on the moon. I'm not joking. This is a real famous fake news story. The Great Moon Hoax. Let's make sure you guys can see this. Yep. The Great Moon Hoax. Also known as the Great Moon Hoax of 1835, was a series of 6 articles published in The Sun, a New York newspaper, beginning in August 1835. The supposed discovery of life and civilizations on the moon. The discoveries were falsely attributed to a Sir John Herschel, the best known astronomer of our time. Is a fake dude. Okay, fake. It's all fake. Well, I'm assuming he's fake. He may have been a real name person, but the story was advertised and it became a feature reprinted in the Edinburgh Courant, and it was published again in other places. So it got picked up. And look at, here's the bat person on the moon. This is what they said they saw in the telescopes. I'm not joking. This is a famous case. And they had all these stories about civilizations. And it was all baloney, pure bullcrap, right? There's another woodcut. That's pretty awesome. Look at this dude, is spread eagle right here. Woo! He's like, that's a bat person on the moon, like proud of his heritage, proud of what he's got. That's pretty funny though. I like that he's spread eagle, right? So whoever drew this, and they put some time into that too, dude. That's like a Gustave Doré woodcut level Bat People on the Moon story. They were like, draw it really good, right? So people were being duped in the 1800s on a mass scale in huge famous newspapers with fake stories. Now, I don't know if this was an early psyop. Obviously, I'm not saying it was part of war. It had nothing. It was just a funny story that duped a lot of people. And if you read about it, apparently the academia, the science men of the time, they all believed it. Well, it's got a citation from the best known astronomer of our time, Sir John. It must be true, right? But this was, and this predates Fatima, by the way. It's just a fake news story. Now, are you telling me that when it comes to a huge geopolitical announcement, such as Fatima, that aligns the entire Western world against the Russian Empire, that I can't ask or at least suppose that this might be a fake planted news story? So let's look at my article that I wrote several years ago about my geopolitical analysis of Fatima. And then we're going to look at, because what we're doing is we're interpreting this event, right? A lot of people who don't get very sophisticated in epistemology, they don't really want to understand the points that are being made here. They're oh, you're just being a rationalist. No, I'm not saying there aren't miracles. I believe in miracles. Obviously, if you believe the Christian worldview, you have to accept miracles, okay? But Fatima is not a brute fact that stands on its own, that doesn't require interpretation. So I'm giving you my contrary interpretation of Fatima. By the way, there's other people who have different, I don't really care. You can interpret Fatima however you want. There's Orthodox people. I think Father Josiah Trenham believes that Fatima, it can be read in an Orthodox way. Okay. That's, again, not disputing the possibility of other interpretations of Fatima. Just going to give you my analysis, what I think is probably the case. And by the way, isn't it funny that EMJ, he says the exact same thing about Medjugorje. So the analysis that I have of Fatima, he says, oh, okay, but Medjugorje is clearly a Cold War psyop. Okay, but Fatima can't be a psyop. I mean, come on. It does the exact same thing. It helps to align the Western world and its powers via big banking interests against Russia, ultimately. Now, World War I, it's not Russia. But eventually it will be. And we know from Quigley that the banking elite had the plan for world wars in the 20th century a long time ago.